what you're looking at right now, honestly, is you're looking at this document. Okay, this is a Department of the Army, U.S. Army Operational Group, U.S. Army Intelligence and Security Command, Fort George G. Meade, Maryland. Basically, in a nutshell, what this document is. This is from CIA.gov. I'll put the link in the description below. I also want to put the link to a podcast I watched the other day. So, I watched a podcast, Beyond the Veil. I watched Beyond the Veil a lot. But I was watching this podcast that they were doing, and basically they were reading this document, which for me personally is amazing. Like, I personally, I just want to take the time to thank, Chris Gio and Cherie, because the fact that they read this document, it just takes a lot to do that, I can imagine. And like for me, I'm not honestly, like I'll be the first to admit, I'm not really good at, I can read, but I'm not good at comprehending what I'm reading. So for them to be reading it, like, that was fucking perfect. I watched the whole damn podcast. Like, all right, so I missed like 30 minutes at the end. But this whole document goes into basically, we're not crazy. All the psychedelic philosophers, all the psychedelic deep divers, all the people who believe in the law of attraction and in the frequencies and how different frequencies affect the body and mind and put you in a certain trance state, like, this is all now backed up by science. This is backed up by our government. This is backed up by CIA.gov. What's crazy is this research that they did happened in 1983. They didn't release this document until 2003, and the document doesn't get really put out there into the world until now, 2018. But it's just insane. It goes into detail about hypnosis, frequencies, transcendental meditation, mantras, the Kundalini energy, Kundalini psychosis, or transcendence. It goes in. Number 5 is gateway and hemisync. Basically, they talked about how you can sync the two hemispheres together and be like in this certain sync version. Then they talk about the frequencies. Now, I know a lot about frequencies because, I'm a music producer and I love frequencies. So I used to know, like, almost every frequency on a 30-band equalizer. Like, if you turned all them down and you turned one frequency up, I used to be able to tell you what that frequency was, or around the range where that frequency was. I can't do that anymore, but it's just, I know a lot about frequencies, so I know that, yeah, there's certain frequencies, like 7 hertz, and, I mean, it goes from 7 hertz to 432 to 528, like, all of these things, yes. So many people listen to frequencies, like, before they go to bed, and it's awesome, okay? So, with the whole, I guess, I don't want to say brainwashing, but it's like, these frequencies can put your brain in a theta state. Now, the human body, humans are in theta, they're in the human theta brain waves until they're 7 years old. So, until you're 7 years old, you're in that theta mind state. So it's not evil, right? Like, I want to make that clear that it is not necessarily evil that these frequencies exist. It's almost like these frequencies were almost designed for us to be able to hack our system. But instead of us hacking our system, we have a lot of the music industry hacking our system, adding these frequencies into the music to kind of keep us in a trance, to brainwash us, to, to make our subconscious take in the information. And, so I do the same thing with frequencies, but I do it with different things. Like, I've used frequencies to help me wake up faster, to help me learn things faster. Like, I've even used frequencies, during certain psychedelic experiences, and I can, depending on what frequency I'm using, is like, depending on where I can kind of mold the psychedelic experience into what I want it to be, depending on the frequency, and the frequency can change it. But it's deeper than that. Like, I use frequencies every time I go to bed. Every time I meditate, I listen to 432 or 528. Like, every single time. I mean, there's sometimes I listen to like 800 and something or 900 and something, and then. But I always usually 528, 432. Now, by doing this, it puts the mantra that I'm repeating in my head, it makes it more easier for my body to, embody it, to become it, right? So it just makes it easier, for me at least. But at the same time, these frequencies can help us put ourselves in a trance so we can brainwash ourselves to wake ourselves up, or it can brainwash us to, I don't know, like, it can put shit in our head that's not supposed to be there. It can easily manipulate us with these frequencies because you can put these ideas in our subconscious. The number 9 on this document, they talk about brain simulation. 11, they talk about consciousness and energy. Holograms, number 12. 14 is called the consciousness matrix. Basically, in a nutshell, what this document proves is that that the DMT people and the psychedelic people who are traveling dimensions, who are talking to light beings and other entities and other beings and other dimensions, and like, basically what this document proves is that's real. Like, that's where, like, none of us are crazy. They just wanted us to all seem like we're crazy, so they can get a head start on it, because I think this is fucking mind-blowing to me. This document changes everything, because this document, number 18 is about time, space, dimension. Like, number 19 is intervening dimensions. Like, what the fuck? They talk about, this is an aspect of quantum mechanics, which applies to the fact, of whatever. I'm not going to get into it. Like I said, Chris Geo and Cherie Geo read this whole document basically on Beyond the Veil podcast. I will put their podcast in the link in the description below as well. Because this is absolutely amazing. This changes everything. Because it really, like, for me, I already knew this shit, right? Number 22 was special status, out-of-body experience. Like, this is all proof that we are not crazy, that we are actually traveling dimensions. We are actually being in contact with other beings from other dimensions. We're learning the space. We're learning our power. We're learning that, okay, at the end of these dimensions, we are all one. We are all this thing that I can't fucking explain, that most psychedelic people have a hard time explaining. But it's just, this whole document is insane. It really is. So, I'm going to get going, but I'm going to just, like I said, I'm going to leave the link in the description below. I just wanted to make this video because ever since I watched that podcast from Beyond the Veil, and then I've been going through this document, myself, it's absolutely insane. The techniques in this, the way to do things. So there's one thing I wanted to say real quick. So they talk about, basically, when you're in this other dimension, you can kind of create like an energy bubble around you. Now, I did this I learned how to do this in DMT space, like, in 2015. It was 2016. In 2016, I learned how to create this love energy bubble around me in the other dimensions in DMT space. Because everyone would be like, what happens if this is really the spirit world, then what happens when you have a negative, demon or being or a dark entity enter, come near you and try to, whatever. And I always used to say, like, they don't dare come near me. They don't dare come near me. Because I put up this energy bubble of love where they literally can't come near me. They literally can't. I remember I used to, like, I got videos of me saying I put up this energy bubble of love. And then this document's basically fucking proving that's real, that's literally in these other dimensions you can create like an energy bubble around you to protect yourself from other entities and other beings. Like, one, it just blows my mind, okay, that this is on, I wouldn't believe it. I'm having a hard time believing it now, so I know most people in the fucking world still won't believe it. They'll still be like, nah, that's bullshit. But it's like, this is on CIA.gov. Like, if it was on any other website, yeah, I have a really hard time believing it. But this is CIA.gov. So let's stop questioning whether, oh my God, maybe it's all in the mind or it's not real. Like, let's shut all that up. Let's shut all that noise up. And let's realize that our government is already ahead of the game, because that's the point, I feel like. I feel like they don't want us to catch up. That's why I find it interesting they released this document now, because it's like, what did they find out? What did they already know? What do they know that they're willing to give us all this information? Like, what have they figured out in that other dimension? Have they figured out how to I don't know. It just blows my mind, because for me personally, I've been trying to learn how to maneuver myself in that other dimension, to move around in that space, to be able to go from place to place in that space. If I want to be in the, I don't know. There's many different parts. I used to say all the time, there are many different parts of DMT space. Just like Earth, there are many different parts of Earth. If you got dropped off in Japan and I got dropped off in New York, there's going to be we're both on Earth, but we're in different parts of Earth, and therefore we'll see different things on Earth, and therefore, that's just, it's just, this document is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Mind blowing. It totally changes, it doesn't really change anything for me, it just changes everything for the reality around me, because people like me, Chris Gio, Cherie, my friend Samina, my friend Phi, like, we already know this shit. We already know. There's many Psychonauts that already know this. We already know we could travel dimensions. We already know that, you put up an energy bubble, around you to protect yourself. We already know, that thoughts create reality. We already know that, there's a lot in this that we didn't know, that I didn't know at least, like combining the two hemispheres and all that other shit. Like, I didn't know any of that. Like, they even talk about the Big Bang, briefly. They talk about our place in time is number 25. Like, this is insane how much information our government withholds from us. And this came out in 1983. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, Jesus, this document could have saved the fucking world. Like, if you put this out and explain this to people, and then we just taught this in school, we taught this as normal reality, that there are other dimensions, and quantum physics has proven it, quantum mechanics has proven it, mantras work, meditation, transcendental meditation works, opening your kundalini energy, like, it's not what people think. And so many people are just trying to open up the kundalini energy without even knowing what they're doing, like, without even really knowing what it is. It's just, I suggest everyone reads this. Number 3, on this document, Transcendental Meditation. I suggest people at least read that one, or go to Chris Gio's podcast, and Cherie Gio, go to their podcast, Beyond the Veil, and check this out, guys, because this changes everything. Peace out, everyone.